Welcome back to What You Learn. My name is Adam Ashton.
And my name is Adam Jones. First of all, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Mate, that end of year review episode, we went hard.
We're still a bit rusty.
Mate, as soon as the episode stopped, I think the 20 standard drinks caught up with us.
Yeah.
And,
mate, lucky it didn't go any longer. It was a pretty long app. But anyway, as we said in that, we're doing today, which is my favourite and most impactful book that's been on my life, Alan Carr's The Easy Way to Stop Smoking.
Mate, I definitely agree that if you're a smoker and you read this and you quit smoking, that's the biggest ROI you could probably ever get.
Yes.
Financially, but in terms of everything else that he goes through in the book as well.
That's it. So, we understand this is probably not a book for everyone. Not everyone smokes anymore, but I think if you listen, you'll be able to send this probably to someone who is a smoker, and hopefully we can sell them on the idea of getting this book or getting something out of it.
Yeah, mate, for me, never been a smoker. Don't think anyone really in the close family, is a smoker either. But still, I enjoyed reading it, definitely, and I enjoyed seeing how he does it because it's different to every other how to quit smoking book.
Well, he starts the book with a lot of case studies and all that of celebrities have all quit, but I'll probably just use a few of my own personal examples. Yeah. So I gave this book the day I was studying in Turkey. I finished this book in about 2 weeks, and I could not believe how easy it was to quit after finishing this book. I went out and I had a huge night on the booze. Yeah. And I didn't remember the night before, but all I remember is, I didn't smoke, which is unbelievable. Yeah. People around me were asking questions like, what the fuck's up? What is this? 2 other people in Turkey saw that and they read the book after me. They had the exact same thing. Yeah. Came home, gave it to my mum and her boyfriend. So mum smoked for about 40 years and her boyfriend about the same. Yeah. And they both quit, easy as hell. Phenomenal. And since then, just people at the cafe and all that, and just randoms in the street, I've just given this book to. That's sick. When I was doing Uber once as well, I just gave the book to. I just fucking give it to everyone.
Yeah, mate, that's phenomenal. Man, I'm going to steal your story. I remember you told me you were on like a full day bus ride or something, and one stop you borrowed a ciggy from a bloke on the break, and then on the next stretch you finished the book, and he said, "Oh, do you want another ciggy at the next break?" And he said, "No, I've quit." That
was 3 hours later, man.
That's phenomenal.
But yeah, definitely the best thing I've ever done because this is one of the first books I read, and since then I realised that a book can really change your life just for like $25 in 6 hours, and this has probably added years to my life and tens of thousands,
$100,000,
probably hundreds of thousands of dollars, man. I was up to 40 a day or something.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But what he promises at the start, you can quit easily, immediately, and permanently without using willpower, aids, substitutes, or gimmicks, without suffering depression or withdrawal symptoms, and without gaining weight.
It's phenomenal. Mate, it's a big call, but essentially he says that his way is, obviously, which is what we lay out in the book, versus all the other ways is just highlighting all the negatives. And the negatives is, the health, the money, just the impact on other people, all that sort of stuff. But really, everyone already knows that. Your rational mind understands that, and smokers aren't smoking because of those reasons that they're highlighting. So he's just all about eliminating these illusions, these positives, so-called, that people say why they smoke in the first place.
So that's the biggest difference. Like the traditional way, they will say they're giving up smoking, and this implies some kind of sense of sacrifice. Yeah. By the end of the book, he everything this smoker thinks he's going to sacrifice, Alan knocks out of the park. Yeah, and by the end, you really realise you're not giving up anything. And then it's just an easy transition to become a non-smoker.
Yeah, it's even just a change in terminology. Rather than giving it up, he calls it just escaping or being free from the slavery of having to smoke all the time.
Yeah. He says, did you ever make the positive decision that you wouldn't be able to enjoy a meal, social occasion without a cigarette? You wouldn't be able to handle stress or concentrate? If there was a magic button that smokers could press to wake up the following morning as if they had never lit their first cigarette, only the smokers that are in the experimental phase would actually, carry on smoking.
Yeah, because that's what he says, that he reckons that every single smoker wishes they never had that first ciggy. Yeah. Do you reckon that's true?
Yeah. Exactly true. And yeah, we'll get into that in the book.
Yeah.
So he starts the book by saying the worst nicotine addict he ever met was himself. Yeah. So Alan was chowing down never less than 60 and up to 100 ciggies a day. So he was right in there.
Mate, I really like how he says, look, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a professor, I'm much more qualified than that. I was a smoker for 33 years. And I think it's sort of the way does the book, he's sort of like he's on the smoker's side. It's not a doctor telling you why you shouldn't be doing it. It's a guy saying, I was in there for 30 years smoking 100 a day, and I tried to quit a whole bunch of times. One time he quit for 6 months, but he always kept going back to it. So it's sort of like he's going on the smoker's level and explaining from their perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
Very powerful, I reckon.
Exactly. Whatever's going through the smoker's mind throughout the book, he kind of is on that level through the journey of
Mate, which is I've been reading a book. I don't know if we'll do it for the potty, maybe down the track, called Win Bigly by Scott Adams. It was about how Trump persuaded people. And one of the things he keeps talking about pacing and leading. That pacing, first you have to match the person's thoughts. So this is pretty much exactly what Alan Carr is doing. He's pacing them by saying exactly what they're thinking, and then the second half of the book he's leading by saying this is what you should be doing instead.
Oh, mate, that's phenomenal. Mate. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
That's it. So he talks about the sinister trap, and our first cigarette tastes awful. So when you're a bit younger, a lot of people in their teens, it absolutely tastes disgusting. So you dare not inhale, and if you have too many, you start to feel dizzy and sick. Yep. This is actually our body telling you, you're feeding me poison, stop doing it.
Yeah. No, you're just saying that like everything in pretty much our bodies have evolved to realise anything that's bad and try and stop us from doing it. Like something off the top of the head I just thought is, if you're in the sun too long, your body gets burnt so that you stop going in the sun because that's bad for you. And same as smoking, that it's trying to like cough and it tastes disgusting. It's trying to get you to stop doing it.
Yep. For the boys though, they're trying to look tough. That's what they think. It's like the macho man in the movie, and then the female is trying to look like the sophisticated modern young lady, but she looks pretty fucking ridiculous.
And both of those, he reckons that it's pretty much the only drug that prevents you from achieving your aim. Like, there's nothing sophisticated about having a puff of ciggy and then coughing and spluttering.
Yeah.
And there's nothing tough about having to rely on this crutch of never being fully confident or courageous. You have to have a ciggy to build up that confidence.
Yeah. So as we slowly get hooked, we start then thinking, we're going to quit one day when we're less stressful. But as we leave home, the protection of our parents, the natural process is actually going to be for more stress, like home, mortgages, babies, more responsible jobs and so forth. So life will tend to be more stressful. Yeah. And it's going to be hard to find the time to choose the time.
Man, it's like anything if you want to change. If you're saying, the smokers say, I'll quit one day and just not yet, I'll do it tomorrow. But it never comes. As you said, there's never going to be a better time to quit.
So why we carry on smoking, there's two things. It's nicotine addiction and brainwashing.
Mate, so he talks about nicotine addiction. He says it's the fastest addictive chemical known to mankind. One ciggy and you're hooked, essentially.
That's it. So there's no physical pain from the withdrawal symptoms. It's merely like an empty, restless feeling, kind of like hunger that someone's missing, but the hunger is for poison and not, nourishing food.
Yeah, exactly. And he says that like the bad thing is that like with food, you get hungry because you're using energy, and then you eat food to satisfy that hunger, and then you're not hungry anymore, and it probably tastes good.
Yeah.
Whereas with smoking, the only reason you're having that hunger is because of the cigarette. And having the cigarette relieves the hunger, but the cigarette caused the hunger in the first place.
That's it. So the whole business of smoking, and he keeps referring to this analogy throughout the book, is it's like wearing tight shoes just to obtain the pleasure you feel when you take them off.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
And he also says like, on a similar thing, it's like banging your head against a brick wall so that it feels good when you stop.
Yeah. So when you light up, you get an almost immediate boost or buzz, and do actually feel less nervous or more relaxed, but the cigarette is getting the credit.
Yes.
It's exactly what the non-smoker has been the whole time.
Yes.
You're getting from the cigarette.
Exactly. And it's like, he says that, within 7 seconds, your withdrawal pang is being relieved, but it's just sort of like, you would have never had it in the first place. If you're a non-smoker, you never needed the cigarette in the first place. So, yeah.
So society refers to the smoking habit, and in this book, for convenience, he refers to it as habit, but it's no more or no less than drug addiction. Yeah. That's what it is. Nicotine is.
And another way of just changing the words to change the perspective. Habit is okay. There's good habits. Yeah, there's bad habits, but drug addiction is all bad.
Yes.
Same as like quitting or giving up versus escaping.
That's it. And the other thing, so nicotine is one reason we keep going. Another one is the brainwashing and the sleeping partner, which in my opinion is much bigger.
Yes. Yeah, no, I agree, man. I think he says it like from early on, our subconscious mind is absorbing all the positive messages around us, and that he says that in every country where tobacco advertising is allowed, tobacco companies advertise heavily because they know it works.
Yeah, totally. And this is the biggest aspect and the worst part of smoking isn't the injury to health or your money. And in my opinion, it's definitely the warping of the mind. I remember being at a funeral once when I was deep into my ciggy addiction. A friend's dad passed away.
Yeah.
And as I was carrying the funeral was going for about an hour or something.
Yeah.
In my brain, my mind was warped to start thinking, when are they going to fucking hurry up and take the body out faster so I can go out there and have my ciggy. Mate, it happens in everywhere, including dinner.
Yep.
Out for dinner, if I'm out for friends and if I was a smoker, I'd be like, when's everyone going to shut up? I want to go out and have my ciggy. Your whole brain's warped and you're in this slavery mode for the rest of your life
and that's
if you don't get out.
He talks about that nicotine addiction is sort of like, it's got like a 30-minute half-life, in that after your ciggy, 30 minutes later, half of it's gone, and that's when you need your next hit. So it's essentially you're living a life in these 30-minute blocks where everything you do, you need to find some reason to get out of what you're doing for every 30 minutes.
Yeah. So again, he says, there is nothing to give up. On the contrary, you're freeing yourself from a terrible disease and achieving marvellous positive gains in health, energy, wealth, peace of mind, confidence, courage, self-respect, happiness, and freedom.
Yeah, mate, there's plenty of positives of stopping.
Yeah. So the next one, he starts to knock out of the park some of the reasons why we think we smoke as smokers. So chapter 9 is stress. So most smokers tend to relieve their withdrawal pangs at times of stress, boredom, concentration, or relaxation.
Yeah,
Relaxation.
And he sort of says that, we're, as we go through life, the cigarette is taking away your nerves and your courage, because every time that a non-smoker would go and just have to deal with it, the smoker just thinks, oh, I'll have a ciggy. The ciggy will save me from my stress.
Yes. So, what's actually happening without being conscious, he's already been suffering that little bit more stress and aggravation because of the addiction. Mm-hmm. And then by relieving this aggravation, the cigarette again gets the credit for just getting into the point where the non-smoker has been the whole time.
Mate, the other one is like boredom. If people say it's something to do with my hands, he says that if you're probably smoking as you read this, you've probably forgotten about it already. That it's just like, it's not something to relieve boredom. Maybe for 2 or 3 seconds as you get it out of the packet and light it up, it's something to do. But that's just ridiculous. And he says, instead of doing something positive, whether that's doing some kind of work or doing some kind of vigorous exercise, you just sit around and have a ciggy instead. You
just get more bored.
Exactly.
And when you're addicted, there's something always missing. So even if you are, just sitting around doing nothing, there's always something in your brain, something that's not quite right, not quite perfect. And again, that's the addiction that is missing. So you smoke when you're bored because there's just that little monster he keeps referring to, just, saying this isn't enough.
Yeah. Mate, another one he talks about is concentration. I don't know if is he saying that because of the drug enhances your concentration? Is that like one fake reason? But he's saying that it's really just eroding your concentration, because everything you're doing, you're always in the back of your mind thinking, when's that next ciggy?
Yep, exactly.
Anytime you're trying to get deep stuck into work, in that half an hour, you're going to lose concentration eventually.
Yep, exactly. It's just another illusion. Cigarettes actually ruin your concentration. Even while smoking the cigarette, you're not quite exactly where the non-smoker is. So this is another huge benefit that a lot of smokers don't realise, that is on the other end of when you quit. Yeah, no, phenomenal. Have you got any other fake positives? No, that's probably it for the fake positives. So and then the next chapters, I know they're kind of positives, but they're just like kind of just points. But the next point he's got is relaxation. Yeah, and he says that like people say that it's relaxing to smoke a cigarette, but he says like if you look at it chemically, it increases your blood pressure, increases your heart rate, which is not relaxing. And then while you're doing it, essentially your body, you think you're breathing deeply and relaxing, but your body is getting filled with smoke and it's essentially suffocating. Exactly. Which is not relaxing at all. And the poor smoker, and similar to concentration, you cannot relax because you always have another hunger to satisfy. Yeah, exactly. So most people at the end of the day, when you have a meal and a drink, you're completely satisfied at the end. The smoker can never be. Yeah, exactly. It's a shocking cycle to be in. He says, chapter 14, what am I giving up? So the fear of being deprived of the pleasure, the fear that certain situations will not be the same, and you got the fear that you will be unable to cope with stressful situations. But you got to realise that cigarettes do not fill a void; they actually create it. Yeah, no, 100%, mate. Essentially, there's anything that you're giving up you're not giving it up. Yeah, you're really just, in fact, it's all the fear. Yeah. That's the only. Exactly. That's the only thing. The real sacrifice is you're scared that nothing will be the same, but you don't realise it's actually going to be much better when you get to the other side. Yeah. And most people on this just quit for health, money, or the social stigma reason. Mm-hmm. But that is by nowhere near the best part of it,
Yep.
which is the psychological gains, which he says is 1, return of confidence and courage.
Yep.
2, freedom from slavery, which is,
Yep.
you cannot put a price on that, man, being away from that cycle. And number 3, not going through life with awful black shadows in the mind, knowing you are being despised by half the population and being despised by yourself.
Yeah, man,
So they're the huge
very
wins there,
true,
man.
And on that, the next chapter he talks about self-imposed slavery, and he says that man fought hard to abolish slavery, and yet the smoker spends his life suffering a self-imposed slavery.
Yeah.
Because once you get into it, you're essentially a slave to the cigarette. You got to keep going back there, keep feeding it.
Yeah, exactly. And say if you're at a social function, there'll be guys who are smokers, and they finally find their other team members who smoke.
Yep.
They go outside, they light up together, and goes, oh yeah, aren't we lucky? We got our little reward like they're champions.
Yep.
I used to do that.
Yep.
But they don't realise the poor smoker never needed the reward in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. And as you say, you think that it's enhancing the experience of whether you're at the dinner and a few of you go out, or if you're at a wedding and a few of you go out and enjoy that reward together. But really, you're missing the real show, which is the reason you were there in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just pure slavery.
Yeah.
And mind warping.
Yeah.
Chapter 16, he says one of the reasons people quit is, I will save X dollars a week.
Yep.
But a lot of smokers will say, it's only $100 a week or $200 a week, and they look at it as a weekly figure, but they never look at it as a lifetime investment.
Yeah.
And over a lifetime, you are looking at $100,000 to $200,000.
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yep.
Even if you're like you don't smoke that much, it's still at least 50, 60, 70,000 on the absolute lower end of the spectrum.
Yep.
Which is, mate, there's a lot better things you can do with 70,000 than burn it up and destroy.
Mate, there's a lot of good things you can do, but with this money, you're not only ruining your health, destroying your nerves, your confidence, just to suffer a lifetime of slavery, bad breath, and stained teeth. That's all you're spending the money on.
Not a good spend. It's not a good spend, is it?
Better go on to TR.
Yeah.
Yeah. So nice. During the withdrawal period, you might be tempted to have one cigarette, but you got to see it as a $200,000 cigarette.
Yes.
Because once you jump back on, you're on the chain and you're off.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it, because you think, one cigarette or one packet of ciggies is $20-$30. It's not that bad. But as you say, once you're back in, the whole lifetime expense is back.
And mate, everyone who starts smoking again is just purely from just one cigarette.
Yeah.
And that's how you start as well. You say, just one, and then all of a sudden you're off. You're done. Absolutely cooked.
Yeah.
So he's got a chapter on health here.
Yep.
And it's interesting to see, this is only one chapter out of the 35 or whatever, is health.
I think it's 45, yeah.
Yeah, so because a lot of people, already know everything about the health.
Yeah.
But the smoker go through a lot of trouble. So he says a lot of the smokers will say, you can die of anything. But he says, of course you do, but is that the logical reason for deliberately shortening your life?
Yeah, exactly. Like one justification for a smoker might be, I could just cross the street and get hit by a bus tomorrow anyway. But it's like, that could happen if you're a smoker or you're a non-smoker. And on the other end of it is you're essentially cutting 10 years off the other end.
Yes.
If you don't get hit by a bus.
Yeah, totally. And that's the other thing they say. Smokers' quality of life is more important than longevity. So they think that if they were to quit, their life isn't going to be as good. Yeah. But, he's saying you're not suggesting the quality of life of an alcoholic or heroin addict is greater than that of someone who isn't. So do you really believe that the quality of a life of a smoker is going to be greater? Yeah.
And so essentially you're losing both. You're losing quantity and you're losing quality.
Another one, man, is energy.
Yeah.
So he says if you could immediately transfer your mind and body to give a direct comparison of yourself in 3 weeks, you'd quit smoking in a heartbeat.
Yeah, and essentially there's, like they say, your body does repair itself pretty quickly after you stop, and you do see a lot of positive effects after stopping.
So at this point in the book, Alan, he says he needs to give a balanced account.
Yeah.
So he devotes a whole chapter into giving the advantages of being a smoker.
Mate, I reckon this is my favourite 2 pages, page 92, page 93. Chapter 21, the advantages of being a smoker. Just 2 blank pages.
He's good, isn't he?
Yeah.
So the next chapter he talks about the willpower method of smoking, and this is the way most people in the population do it. This is how some of the quit helpline and the companies selling the tobacco patches and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They always talk about this willpower method of smoking, and this traditional way is an accepted fact that it is difficult, to quit smoking, but the truth is it's really easy.
And that's another part of the language around, is that any book you read or anyone you go to, they say, oh, it's going to be hard to quit, which is just essentially like you're doomed from the start.
Exactly.
And
and
saying it's easy, which it is.
And the whole thing is, like we said at the start, the willpower method forces the smoker to think he is making some sort of sacrifice, which you're not.
No.
All those sacrifices are blown out of the park.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's even funny that when he talks about the willpower method, that even if people do stop for 6 months, a year, 3 years, 5 years, they never really, they still feel like they're missing it. They've never really given it up because they wanted to. They've just had the willpower to not smoke anymore.
Yep.
But then whatever happens, something bad happens, you get fired or someone dies or something, then you think, oh man, this is such a stressful time. I wish I had my ciggies. And that you start back on the slippery slope, and within a couple of weeks, you're probably back to being a smoker. Even though you quit for 5 years, you're back on the horse.
Mate, and that's, he says as well, it's the most pathetic part of it. It's the poor people who quit using the willpower method.
Yeah.
Mate, I reckon they're better off smoking.
Yeah.
Honestly, reckon you're better off smoking than quitting, thinking you're sacrificing something your whole life. So the rest of your life, in your brain, you think you've given something up.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Read this fucking book.
And that's what this book is. The willpower method is the whole time that you're not smoking, you wish you were, whereas this is just like you don't want to anymore.
Yeah. And then at the very end, which we'll get into, it's one of the best moments of your life because you realise that you're free.
Now, another issue, so that's the willpower method. He reckons another one that doesn't work is cutting down.
Yes.
So 40 a day, 30 a day, 20 a day, gradually cut down to 0, which doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly. So he says you got the worst of all the worlds. Because number one, you're still addicted to nicotine.
Yeah.
2, you're wishing your life away for the next cigarette.
Yeah.
So, as you're waiting for the next one, it's becoming more and more precious because you're stopping yourself from doing it.
Yeah.
And number 3, the longer you wait, the more you think you actually enjoy cigarettes.
Yes, mate, that's so true, man. Because you're saying that, firstly, if you're smoking half as much, then the financial impact is lessened. So you don't have that every day or every week. You don't see how much money you're spending on ciggies because you're spending less. But it's also increasing the benefits of smoking because you're smoking half as much, so you think you need it twice as much.
Yes, and yes, you're wishing your life away for the next cigarette. That's your whole cycle.
So
and it's back to that shoe analogy. It's like putting on even tighter shoes for a longer period of time. So when you take it off and it goes, oh, just it feels good. And it also says just one cigarette, and again, it's one cigarette that got you started in the first place. Yeah. And it's just one cigarette that'll tie you over a difficult patch. Yeah. To get you going again.
Exactly. And that's what he says, that, if you've quit for 6 months and you think, oh, this is a really tough time, I'll just have one, it'll be fine. But it's funny how he even talks about, I think it's in this chapter, how he says that, if you think, oh, it's a special occasion, it's my son's wedding, so I'm going to have a cigar or something. And then he says it's amazing how, if you just have it on special occasions, how many more special occasions there are. It starts off with
it's a bit like Unpredictably Irrational, man. You start rationalising
you start
everything.
Off, my team won the footy on the weekend, I'm going to have a ciggy.
Mate, it's 100% how it works. The first time you smoke at a party, and then you start rationalising, oh, we'll do it in the morning, got a few ciggies left over for my coffee. Yeah. All of a sudden you're doing it. You start rationalising more and more until you're up to 40 a day like I was, little fucker. Exactly. He also says the next, a social habit. So this is a big reason why a lot of people think they smoke. And this is one of the only reasons why you get started in the first place is because of the social pressure from friends.
Mate, I even used to think, man, when I was, I guess a similar sort of thing is when I was working at a pub, and then everyone who was a smoker, every hour they got to have a 5-minute break. So I was like, fuck, if I only smoked, I'd get 3 extra breaks.
Mate, that was like, in the hospitality, it's just like getting paid to chow down ciggies. But as every day passes, more and more smokers are leaving this sinking ship. So those that are left on it are becoming terrified that they will be the last.
Mate, he said earlier in the book, like 60% of the adult population used to smoke.
That's
crazy.
The thing,
when more than half the people are doing it, it's easier to stay on it. But as you say, when more and more people are leaving, that social habit, that element of it is getting dwindled as well. So that's not even a good reason either.
That's it. So for timing, he says, when are you going to actually do it? Is this the question that you ask the first time you realise you were hooked? Because as soon as you realise you're hooked, you start playing in your head, when am I going to actually quit? And will it be tomorrow? Will it be next year? Will it be year after?
Yeah. Mate, he even says at the start of the book that you don't have to quit now. And he says that if he said as the very first sentence, don't ever smoke a cigarette again, people probably wouldn't read the book. He says keep smoking until you finish the book. And he says that even one of his friends used to read one sentence a day so that they could prolong it.
Yeah.
But essentially, just you need to pick a time and stick to it.
Yep, that's it. And when I was reading this, I'll probably triple my rate of smoking. So you start to get a little bit scared.
Yeah.
And toward the end of the book, you might slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
But the next part is the easy way to stop, which is chapter 32.
Yep.
So there's two important things you need to do. One, you need to make the decision that you are never going to smoke again.
Yep.
And two, and this is the biggest difference between the two ways, is you don't mope about it, you rejoice about it.
Yeah, exactly. And we've gone through and killed all the false positives. You already know all the negatives. So making the decision to stop is a phenomenal decision, and there's only good things. You're not going to miss it. You're not going to think that everything is better with cigarettes.
Yeah.
Just realise that it's not.
It's amazing.
You're
He
about
says,
to stop.
Yeah, exactly. I'm never going to smoke again. Isn't it marvellous?
Yeah.
In his pommy kind of terms.
Yeah.
And in chapter 33, he talks about the actual withdrawal period.
Mm-hmm.
So once you actually you have your final cigarette, for up to 3 weeks, you will have pangs, and you need to starve this monster. It's like this little creature inside your gut that you need to starve and let him die.
Yeah. And that's it. Even if you think, I'll just have one puff just to calm it down, that's not a good way to do it. You just got to stop and...
He says, look at it as if it's an exciting game. Like, you're going to have this, slightly hungry feeling for 3 weeks. And once that's over, the actual nicotine, 99% of it's left your body. The next chapter is, should I avoid temptations? And again, this is a huge difference between the willpower method and the easy way. So on the willpower method, if you got a party that weekend or something, a lot of people will try and avoid all social situations, will expose them to cigarettes. They'll stop hanging around with some people.
Yeah.
What Alan says is, if there's a social occasion or a party, go out there and celebrate. Just go out and get, I don't know, this is the way I took it. I went out and got smashed the day I quit out of excitement and celebration. Yeah. And, that was the mindset as opposed to avoiding all these occasions.
Mate, it sounds like you've got to read Alan Carr's next book, The Easy Way to Control Your Alcohol. No, but as you say, man, if you tie smoking, you're going to be at a party, 50% of your mates are going to be smoking at some point. And if you're going to think, if I don't go to this party, I won't smoke, then you're losing out because you're not going to the social occasions you used to enjoy. Yeah. So you need to keep going to those things and enjoy not smoking. And the social occasions are actually going to be even better as a non-smoker as well. Yeah, exactly. And the next he talks about this moment of revelation. And this is totally true. So he says, usually it comes about 3 weeks after the smoker has actually stopped. Yeah. For him, it was about 3 weeks. For me, it was, a few weeks. But there is a moment where you realise, like, fuck, I'm no longer a slave. I'm out of it. I've actually quit smoking. I'm never going to have to smoke again in my life. No, and he compares this to the birth of his kids and his marriage, which I completely understand. Because when you fully realise that you're free, there is probably not a better moment I've had in my whole entire life. Yeah. Mate, it's phenomenal stuff for sure, man. Yeah. And, most people, it's going to be the most marvellous event in your life. And this is the most exciting thing. If someone is a smoker listening to this, and there will be, this is going to be one of the best days of your life coming up. And the best periods is the actual quitting smoking process. Yes, exactly, man. And he talks about, I think, to wrap it up, the final cigarette. He says, so you know what your last one is, have it, smoke it like mindfully, be conscious of what you're doing, and realise that it's not fucking good, man. Yeah, just have a look at it. Disgusting. Just look at it. Just hear that the sound of it, just inhaling. Yeah. And just look at all the toxins as you blow it out. Yeah. And just become very mindful of it. And, the two things you need to have when you have your final cigarette, do you feel certain of success? Yep. And number two, have you got a feeling of doom and gloom, or are you excited? Yes. They're the only two criteria. Have a look at that ciggy and just realise and say goodbye to it. Yeah. And as you say, mate, when you extinguish it, just think, yippee, I'm a non-smoker now, and you don't have to do that to yourself ever again. Mate, and your life's going to be unbelievably better after that. Yep. Yeah. The ripple effect of quitting smoking for me has been absolutely huge, man. Yep. Absolutely huge. Yeah. Not just the money, but the health. Yeah. And, everything from there. It's been amazing. Else. Mate, I reckon it's a phenomenal book. Not that I took anything from it. I was probably more reading it through the lens of how is he doing it? Yes. How is he getting people to do this? Because, mate, I feel like it's made me more... I used to be probably just nonchalant, just didn't care about smoking. Now, Mum was in the hospital last night, and I went and visited her, and I saw outside everyone who's in hospital for smoking-related illnesses going outside for a smoke.
Yes.
And I just used to think, what the fuck are these guys
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah.
Like before, I wouldn't have even thought anything. Now, after reading this, I'm like, why don't you just read this book and stop?
Yes. Oh my God. Everyone,
So
anyone
probably more of a
listening,
Tanya.
just buy this. Actually, 100%, man. 10 copies for free.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to email us in or anything, we'll just give the book
Yeah.
straight out for free. No
Yeah.
gimmicks or catches or anything. It's just a pure give.
Yeah.
The ROI from my perspective is, there's $20 from our end. So say
Yeah.
a couple $100
Yeah.
means, someone, whoever's listening, their life, they're going to save hundreds of thousands of dollars, years of their life
Yeah.
and everything. So it's the ROI for us is huge as well.
Yeah, I like it. If you're a smoker, email us and say, hey, send me the book, we will. Or if your mum or your girlfriend or your kid or anyone you know close.
And the only catch is you have to read it, actually.
Yes.
You can't just, because a lot of people buy this and let it sitting there because they're
Sit on the
scared.
shelf, yeah.
They have to read it, or the person they bought
Yeah.
it for, they have to make them read
Mate, I
it.
reckon that's a fucking good deal.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, for a man. So, yeah. Fucking favourite book of all time, man. It's good.
Powerful stuff.
It's good. And his other book, Easy Way to Control Your Alcohol, which ironically I did read, and I quit alcohol for 2 1-year stints as well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
that
nice.
obviously had a big impact on me as well. So, Alan Carr, you're the man.
What a fucking man.
Love ya.
Should we get him on? Oh, hang on, he's dead.
He ironically died of lung cancer.
Oh, did he actually?
Well, he was chowing down 100
Yeah, you'd think
ciggies
so.
a day. But, we'll sing the song anyway.
Slap the bass.
Ciggies, yeah.
Don't smoke. Smoking is bad, but you already know that.
Oh, ciggies, what am I gonna sacrifice?
You're not sacrificing anything.
Oh,
But maybe does it give you relaxation?
no.
Maybe does it give you concentration?
The little monster,
That
sticking it in, now Siggy. He's got a Siggy poking it through your
Stick
back.
it in your mouth and suffocate yourself with that smoke and the toxins and that poison. Ciggies are bad. Ciggies are bad.
Siggies are bad, now walking out. My friend's dad, I don't care, I want that Siggy's whooping my mind, I'm a slave to the crime.
Slave. Humans used to be slaves, but now the only slaves are the humans and the masters are the cigarettes. Not that rich old white man.
Now self-imposed slavery for the rest of your life when you gonna decide to be free of the crime.
Don't cut down gradually. Don't just have one cigarette. Don't use a willpower method. Instead, just do it the easy way.
Now Alan Carr, he has found a way to make you stop really easily. It's easy when you do it Alan Carr's way.
Just make the decision that you're not gonna smoke ever again. And step 2 is rejoice and enjoy that moment and don't smoke any cigarettes ever.
Celebrate. Gotta celebrate.